Evil Outbreak.
So, in spite of recent news with Reverse being delayed and the talk about Resident Evil multiplayer games in general, once again the topic has come up about Resident Evil Outbreak and how Capcom should kind of revive this game, bring it back. If there was a multiplayer game they could bring back or make, this would be it, and this is what people would want. So today we're going to go over Outbreak, what it is, because I'm sure some of you who are on the channel may not have heard of this, because it's quite old. I'll assume most of you have, but regardless, I'm going to go over what Outbreak is, how it kind of fits into the multiplayer side of Resident Evil, and just whether or not a remake or a remaster or whatever they could do with it would be beneficial and would be popular, which is kind of a dumb question to ask, because there's a lot of conversation about this game, especially lately with the Reverse and stuff like that. So, before we get started, as always, leave a like on the video if you do enjoy, and subscribe for new Resident Evil content. I upload every single day, stream at weekends, and it's an all-round good time. So, without any further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so a brief rundown on what Outbreak is. It's a PS2 game, so it's fairly old now. It is set in the events of 2 and 3. So while all that stuff is going on, while Raccoon City is kind of falling apart, this takes place. You follow a group of just general survivors in the city trying to get out of the city and survive the outbreak. And what's so good about this game, and why the conversation is so high right now, is it had multiplayer, and it was online multiplayer. For a kind of history lesson on how that would work, you would need a certain network port cable on a PS2 and internet, obviously, to get online. It was a lot more fiddly than what it is now. A few games did it, not every single game on PlayStation 2 did it. A few examples are obviously this, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, and it's Killzone, the original Killzone, I think, as well. Off the top of my head, I can remember those games having online multiplayer. So yeah, it was very rare, but this was one of those that kind of really, it blew up with the multiplayer. People loved it, and how it would work is, obviously back in those days, there was no, microphone port in your controller, anything like that. And how it would work is in-game commands and lobby chat and stuff like that, which was this was early days for multiplayer games, not like it is now. So this was a big step, and it was really received quite well. The game itself is heavily underrated. Personally, I would agree. Anyone who's played the game knows that the game is just underrated. Anyone who has played it loves it, but some people haven't heard of it, some people haven't had the opportunity to play it. So it's a very interesting conversation to have about the game itself. A brief look at some of the characters in this game. Obviously, the big names on in this game is completely separate to the mainline series. It just kind of takes place within the events of those games. You have Kevin Ryman, who is a RPD officer who kind of applied for stars, but it failed. So he kind of goes to the bar and drinks, and that's where he was when the outbreak began. A character called David King, Mark Wilkins. He was like a Vietnam war hero, and he was in Raccoon City at the time of the outbreak, and he was employed as a security guard, I believe, is the rundown for him. Next up we have Alicia Ashcroft. This is a name that kind of pops up in and out of mainline games. I believe there's a book somewhere in Resident Evil 7 that has the name on it. She's an investigative reporter in Raccoon City, and she just kind of wants to get to the bottom of what's going on. Then there's Cindy Lennox, who is the waitress at the bar. Obviously she's just in the bar when the outbreak happens, so she's there with you. Yoku Suzuki, I'd probably pronounced that wrong. A university student, and she used to work for Umbrella, and she had her memories suppressed so that, in case she slipped anything out. And then a few kind of general other characters in the game. So all the characters in the game are kind of the game only. I believe there's references to some of them throughout, future titles and stuff like that, but they're all kind of original, and they're all quite good. They all have different personalities and reasons to do what they're doing, so it's pretty cool to have a whole other cast of characters in a different game. As for the general kind of events of the game, obviously, again, you know, they're all in the bar at the time of the outbreak, and obviously their kind of ideal goal is to get the hell out before the US military blows up the city again, which is kind of like a big kind of strand for the story in the main game as well. Obviously, specifically Resident Evil 3, it's mentioned quite a lot, you know, that you need to get out as soon as you can because they're going to level the city, and that's the same idea here. They were trying to escape before that unfortunately happens, and you know, would wipe them out. So plenty of motive to get the hell out of there. In terms of how, you know, I feel about the game, I will say I had a PS2. Yes, I did. I always played PlayStation. I didn't have any kind of online access at the time, purely because, you know, of how old I was and when the game was out and other reasons. But I did manage to play the game on occasion, and you do have obviously the AI system in this game that's kind of later adapted into the future games. You can transfer items between characters and stuff like that. So it's all very cool, and it all feels nice to kind of see this early beginnings of the multiplayer and then see it come back in like 5 and 6 and stuff like that. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was pretty good. In terms of, you know, controls and stuff like that, it is one of the older games, so, you know, it has the loading into rooms and the small inventory and stuff like that, but that kind of makes up for it with the multitude of characters that can kind of carry everything for you. It is good, it is good, and if you haven't played it yet, I would recommend you do. I'm not sure how accessible the game is. I couldn't tell you how easy it is to get into the game or not, but if you have the means to do it, whether it's through an emulator or you have a PS2 lying around, you can find a copy of the game, definitely do that, because it is one not to miss. You will enjoy it if you play it, I promise you that. But now we've kind of gone over the game and, you know, how it plays and what it is, let's kind of touch on, you know, the whole conversation with it due to recent events. Obviously, Reverse was cancelled, unfortunately. Not cancelled. Do not believe me there. I did not say cancelled. I meant delayed. It's been delayed till 2022, which, you know, was kind of a bummer for some people, and, you know, most of like the more vocal fans of Resident Evil do not kind of, they don't want to see these multiplayer games being made. And, you know, I've made a video talking about, you know, people wanting those games or not a couple of days ago. You can check that out. We can get more into that. But, you know, like I've briefly mentioned in that video, I understand both reasons as to why people want these games and why people don't. At the end of the day, it's just, you know, how you want to play. But the idea came up that if you were going to make any game in the Resident Evil series a multiplayer game, you either remake this, which would be really cool to see, definitely, or you make a game that's kind of like based around how this plays. You know, you get a bunch of characters together, make it like, I don't know, let's go 1 to 4 players maybe, you know, make 4 characters, have them be kind of separate from the main characters, again, the main cast, let them be different. Or, you know, you could round up some of the old cast and put them in the same game, that would be cool too. But, you know, make it a 4-player co-op story. Just kind of look at Resident Evil 5 and 6, you know, that, although those games get a bad rap, I'm more looking at 6 for the bad rap, because, again, I think 5 is one of my favourite games in the series. Do not judge me, that's just how I like. That's just the one I like the most out of 5 and 6, and it is one of my top 5 in the series. But, you know, looking at the multiplayer and that, yes, it's 2-player. But, you know, if you kind of look at 5 and add 2 more players and have it play either like Village in a first-person perspective, or like the 2 and 3 remake where it's updated and it feels good, you could really get something out of that, and I think people would love it, you know? It doesn't have to be in some kind of chronological order either. Like, you could take it back to Raccoon City and you could play as some other people trying to survive. Obviously, if you were to kind of return to Raccoon City, you might as well just remake this game, because, you know, it's already out there, you know, like, the story's there, the characters are there, and it wouldn't be too difficult to make a new idea. You know, you have a whole game here ready to go. All it would take is some remake formula to kind of make it, you know, really, really good. Well, it's already really, really good, but you know what I mean, make it playable nowadays, a bit more accessible and stuff like that. But yeah, I would like to see this personally, I would, and I'm sure many, many, many other people will as well. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see, you know, Reverse release and do well, because, again, like I mentioned in the other video, I quite enjoy those multiplayer games. Yes, they're not as good as the single player games that they always release. They're always mostly perfect, but they're fun, and they're stupid, but they're fun. Like that, and that's the key thing, you know. As long as you think it's fun, then does it matter if the game's not a good idea or not? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I will always say this with Reverse: it came for free with Village, for free. So it's not like you bought Village to play that. So that's all I'll say on that. But this has been kind of a rundown of, you know, what Outbreak is and how people feel about it, and just got the general idea of, you know, the conversation that's going on. I would love this conversation to continue in the comments of this video. You know, let me know if you want to see Outbreak remade, or a game that's loosely similar to Outbreak. You know, it'd just be interesting to see what people want to see in terms of a game like this. You know, like a 4 to 8 player co-op game in the Resident Evil series. Again, which would be really cool. But yeah, that'll do it. Again, I apologise if my voice is kind of off, or I feel kind of, or I sound kind of exhausted, because this heat is killing me. It's on day 3, day 4 now of this heat, and it's not going away. But nevertheless, I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like again if you did enjoy it, and again, I do want to see, you know, some kind of discussion in the comments if you want to, you know, leave your thoughts on Outbreak, or if you've never heard of it and want to play it, or you've never heard of it and want to see a game like it, then do let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.